building a culture of empathy. And just a quick reminder, we're going to be recording this call for educational and promotional purposes. So I see that the recording button is on. That's great. All right, so I guess we'll just go straight into some check-ins. Wanted to see how everyone's doing since last week. Let's take 30 seconds for each of us to share if you have any questions, comments from the last session, or if you wanted to talk a little bit about your empathy buddy call, how that went, or really any short report from if you had facilitated an empathy circle since last week. So I'll start to call on people to take about 30 seconds to share. All right, so I'll start with Elizabeth.
Hi, everybody. I did not facilitate an empathy circle this week, but I did have a buddy call with Julia, which was really good. And so we got to practice our empathetic listening. And yeah, that's about it.
Sounds pretty great. Glad you got to do the buddy call. All right. Aska, hope that I'm saying your name correctly.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't do a buddy call. No, I did do a buddy call with Harini, but I didn't do the other thing.
Empathy Circle.
Empathy Circle, yeah. But it was my call with Harini was very good. We had a very lovely talk. It was so nice. Yeah, I really loved it.
Well, it sounds like it was a really nice call, and you were able to build some connections with people in our cohort. So that's really good to hear. All right, I guess I'll move on to you, Harini. How was everything since the last session?
Yeah, just as Aske said, my empathy buddy call was with him, and I enjoyed it. It was a nice, good conversation, and we got to do a little bit of listening as well. And he was speaking from a park. I could feel all the freshness, the leaves, everything behind him. It was really good. I enjoyed it. And I did try to do an empathy circle, but I couldn't get anyone to do it. So I think that is going to be my first and foremost challenge, getting people to do it. Like I posted on this online group of moms. People liked it, commented that it's great and everything, but no one really wanted to do it. So I'm not sure. I think that's going to be my first challenge. I don't know how to go about that. So that's me. That has been my experience.
Thank you for sharing. Yeah, that would be a really great question for me to also think about how to get more people to be engaged in participating and not just looking at it from afar. Thank you for sharing, Harini. All right, moving on to Bill.
Yeah, I've been doing some trainings and I've been enjoying those. I didn't do an empathy buddy call this week. But I have been doing my Thursday empathy in schools, and that's been really, really rewarding. As far as getting people to come to that, an empathy circle, we do talk about some strategies. It may not be exactly what you need, but as far as kind of break it down and do a few of there. So there are some strategies that I'd be happy to share with you. That's my point. Thank you.
All right, looking forward to hearing some of those strategies. I'm sure a lot of us would benefit from that. Great. Sunil.
Yes, we couldn't make a body call actually, and I'm planning for an empathy circle with one of the Leo club here in my local town, and it will be online as we are in the hike of COVID in our place. It's not like there's not much, and yeah.
Sounds good. It sounded like even though you weren't able to do the buddy call, but you were still able to participate with someone near you. So that's really good to hear. Thank you for sharing. Julia, how was your buddy call, or if you had hosted any empathy circles?
Yeah, I had the buddy call with Elizabeth. She said, I think it went really smooth. Then I had another, let's say, one-on-one session, mixed circle. It was kind of hybrid with a friend. And yeah, also, as Harini already said, I also have issues finding participants for an empathy circle, because or people say like, okay, I'm going to do it, and nobody shows up, or they just ignore me. So I need to work on that as well.
Thank you for sharing. Yeah, that seemed to be a common challenge a lot of us run into when we're trying when we're trying to actively promote the empathy circle and all of its goodness. So yeah, definitely looking forward to hear some of the strategies that Bill has. Dominic, would you like to share?
Yeah, hey everyone. So unfortunately, I wasn't able to do a buddy call last week because I had a family emergency. So I've been kind of focusing on that. But this week, I'm back and I'm ready to pick it back up. So excited to be here.
Great, excited to have you back as well. And I see Lisa, you're next.
Yeah, so I was able to do a buddy call with Dustin, and we had a really good conversation. And then I did like a one-on-one call with a friend. It wasn't exactly an empathy listening per se, but I really did allow her to speak more and listen more, because she's kind of one of those friends where I lean on her a lot. So that was nice to kind of utilize those skills.
Yeah, that's definitely a really good reminder that people in our lives who we lean on to kind of talk to, it's nice to be able to really deeply listen to them once in a while as well. So thank you for that reminder. Francesca, I know you just joined, but we're just taking 30 minutes to share any thoughts, questions from last session, or if you've hosted an empathy circle, or if you wanted to talk about how your buddy call went, feel free to share.
Thank you. Yes, so I had my buddy call with Justine just finished with her. She's not feeling very well, so she won't be joining us. But it went really well, and I just really loved what came up in our conversation. I also had an empathy call with a friend of mine, but the thing is, I didn't know that if you just do it with one person, you just listen to them the whole time. But we did a back and forward like we do in the empathy circle, and I felt it was really went well. And I don't have any questions.
Okay.
Maybe you can clarify that though for me. Is it one, like if you just do it with one other person, is it supposed to be just listening for the hour for that person, or can you do the back and forwards?
Does any trainer in the room want to?
We can answer that how about we just answer that in the feedback section?
The feedback? Okay.
Yeah, add that to the list.
Okay.
Okay, great. All right. So your answer is coming, Francesca. We'll add that to the feedback session. Edwin, how was everything for you?
Yeah, we started our cohort last week, our cohort 13 with Extinction Rebellion. That was going really well. Kind of excited about that cohort because it's a lot of activists who are interested in taking, activism to the streets. And I think they might be interested in taking the empathy tent to the streets. Have my empathy buddy call with Timothy, which is always a lot of fun. Really appreciate that. It's very supportive. So yeah, feeling good about that.
Wonderful to hear. Great. Moving on to Timothy.
Hey, everybody. Hi. I did not do an empathy circle this last week, and I really enjoyed my call with Edwin, where we really focus on exchanging empathy back and forth. But it's not always 50-50, different times. If we set it up, we can come back. But for me, what I'm realizing is that almost every single day, I'm having an empathy buddy conversation. I kind of live empathy with my partner, with a friend at work, and another friend at work, and other friends if I need to talk, or other friends because I care about them. I realize I've built up by practicing this for the last 10 years, a lot. That I've built up a network that I don't even have to work that hard to create. And actually, it's a day that stands out for me where I don't have empathy conversations and I actually feel the missing of it. I feel lonely or a little bit down or a little bit off if I don't have an empathic conversation every day. So I think that was one day this week. It might have been Friday where I realized, oh, I'm working all day and I've been helping others, but I haven't had that warmth of another person's attention, and presence. So yeah, that's pretty cool. I recommend it every day. Thanks.
Wow, that's really good to hear because you've definitely turned that into a empathic lifestyle. So you're living the lifestyle. That is great. And I definitely would like to incorporate that more into my life and start to build that type of empathic lifestyle as well, that empathy is really incorporated into every aspect of my life. So I see Alyssa is going to be away for a few more minutes. So to, not to keep moving, I will turn it over to Bill so we can move on to the next section.
Okay. The feedback we got was one of the things was what happens when someone does not participate or refuse to participate by the rules. So the first thing I know that we try is to just empathize. In other words, to kind of reflect the dissatisfaction that they're having and to see how that is going. Sometimes it's not, a person is not driven by an intellectual curiosity or thing, but an emotional sort of like, what are you going to do when I push? And that's a little bit what the challenges here today are to help you gain some experience with. So you try empathy, and then my suggestion and is to see at a certain point. Obviously, if someone were shouting and yelling and not allowing the circle to occur, then we don't have a circle. So it takes some discretion to when is a circle not a circle? When are we bogging down? And then my suggestion generally is to not make it a power struggle. And so one of the things is that, you can say, well, I'm the facilitator and so do this. And so so that then is a personal power struggle. So, but if you say, I'm just trying to keep you, one of the things that I say when I remember, I don't always remember, but is if I, correct you or do anything like that, it's not a criticism of you or your ideas, but just to keep us in the process. In other words, we're here, this is an experiential thing. I'm trying to, set some parameters so you can have the experience. Maybe today's not your day for doing this. We welcome you back when you feel that you can, participate appropriately, etc. That's assuming that this is really intense. Usually once people are empathized or talked to a little while, they can be redirected. And that's what we'll be doing in our breakout rooms today, something like that. And then the other one was about the empathy buddy calls. And that's kind of been all over the map. We don't have a lot of people here, so we don't monitor these things. So no salesman will come to your door. And so what we do, and I really like what Lisa said and what Timothy said about, really the empathy circle is great, but it's a tool, and it's a tool for internalizing empathy and making it a part of our everyday life and being able to, that's the point. So in an empathy buddy call, it's, usually what I've done is that we start off with a little bit of empathy, more of like a la an empathy circle, just reflectively listening. And then we kind of decide, either we go on in that mode or we kind of riff off of that. And that's really interesting, and also gives you some experience in a day-to-day life when you can say, well, let's stop, let me reflect, listen, and people aren't up for the structure to kind of seamlessly incorporate empathy into your daily life. Okay, I think I made it just under the 5 minutes.
There was also the question of how to get people to take part in the empathy circle.
Right, okay, so
so maybe I can just say a few
oh
words.
yeah, absolutely, sure,
just
sure.
add to that. So it's always a challenge, how do you get people to take part? And it's like we need almost like an empathy circle to just kind of explore that and, create sort of some documentation on how to get participants to take part. In terms of the exercises, I found it helpful, as I've mentioned in other sessions, is you can say to some friends, say, hey, I'm doing this class, and one of my assignments is to do an empathy circle. Would you help me out to do an empathy circle with me? So, and people tend to want to help you out. If you say, hey, I want to do this, would you do it? It's like, oh, I don't know, they're maybe hesitant, but if you're asking for them to support you in doing this class, that can help. There's another thing is in terms of the buddy calls, you can structure it different ways. So you can, get together, you each listen to each other for 15 minutes. Another option is just like Timothy and I do, is like one of us gets a full half hour just to speak and get heard. So you can sort of structure it in different ways. And the same thing in terms of getting people involved in the empathy circle. You can have sort of like a first step is you can say to someone, hey, I would like to just listen to you for a whole hour, and just sort of like a therapist would, and you say, I'm going to be listening to you. And I sent the link out for the instructions for how to do this and some samples with Carl Rogers doing kind of a therapeutic type of listening. So you say, I'm going to listen to you. I'm going to just periodically reflect back what I'm hearing you say. And usually people really like that. It's like, oh, I get heard for a whole hour, especially your family or so forth. And then once they've have the experience of having done that, then they're maybe a bit more ready to take part in a empathy circle. But it is a real challenge sometimes to get people to actually take part. And yeah, so that was it. Bill, I don't know if you wanted to add to that or
just briefly. Yeah, no, that's great. And I just, so one of the things is that when you have people like young children with attention issues or the time issues, we've dealt with a lot of medical personnel who just don't have the time in their day. So you break it down. And what I've found is that the atom of the empathy circle is for someone to feel heard. So one of the things that we do when we do a street action is we don't say, if people come in for an hour, that's great. And it has happened. And certainly that's a goal. Nothing wrong with that. But we say free, Edmund has a business card that says 10 minutes of free listening. And you just start there. Just start listening to someone. And if you can't do a circle, see if you've employed those things like Lisa did. She noticed that. I think that's very important. And then what you find is that, like any muscle, it gets strengthened. So one of the things is break it down, just listen to someone, and especially a kid, for a minute, reflect, 5 minutes, reflect. And that's, so that's one of the strategies I think that will work in the end. So thanks. And I'm going to turn it on to Timothy, who will talk about the breakout room description today.
Wonderful. Yeah, I'm appreciating the reflections on inviting people into circles and just sometimes the vulnerability that there is and making a request for people to join. So for me, before I make any requests, just to add one more thing, I prepare myself to hear no. And the way I prepare myself is to get curious. If I ask somebody to join an empathy circle and they say, no way, I say, oh, tell me more. Why are you saying no? What comes up for you? So then I'm actually giving empathy by making a request and hearing the answer and being open to that. and that I'm learning about folks and what might help them join in the future. Okay, so let's transition because we're going to get ready to go into smaller groups today to practice introducing an empathy circle and then leading an empathy circle. So last week we practiced the introduction and how to explain the principles and the roles and the process, and we got some feedback about that. And then also you got a chance to lead a little bit of the actual empathy circle process as a facilitator last week. This week we're inviting you to once again introduce the process once you sit down with a group of people and share that, and then continue and lead an empathy circle for about 20 minutes. And then you get a little bit of feedback of how that felt for you, what your learnings are, what you'd like to do differently next time. You get a little bit of feedback if you like. Now, in addition to that today, you get to have an opportunity to face a slight, gentle disruption to the circle that you're practicing leading. And so the intention here is to give you, in a safe space, some experience to build your confidence, to face any challenges that might happen out in the real world outside of a setting like this, so that you're more prepared, you're just more confident. And so this is a request that you can make today in the circle to one of the facilitators. One of the facilitators will offer a slight disruption to the process, and you'll have a chance to handle that and bring somebody in and use your facilitation skills in practice. Now, you can also choose to have no disruptions at all. I'm still working on the basics. We don't want any disruptions to practice with. No, that's fine. Remember, as Bill says, this training goes at your pace. At the same time, I encourage you to challenge yourself just enough so it's a little bit exciting. Not overwhelming, but a little bit exciting. We want you in that growth space so you're a little more empowered and more confident after today. So when you do request a challenge, the facilitator will, see how intense you want that, and we'll go from there. Examples of challenges are somebody talking over somebody else, somebody, arguing about the rules or not quite sure, some criticism there, or maybe somebody not wanting to talk, or maybe having a hard time hearing somebody else. Many different challenges are there. Edwin has gathered a list of common challenges, and he's putting together a resource for you with common challenges and some things for how to deal with those. So that is being built right now, which is exciting. Really great facilitation training, actually. And so those are a couple examples of challenges that you can choose to try to work with today, if you want. And we're going to, as usual, we're going to spend about an hour and a half together in the small groups. So that gives everybody a chance to introduce and then lead a section or a session, a session of an empathy circle. And one last thing, what topic do you want to talk about today? Bring your passion. If you can't think of a topic, the topic we're requesting that we talk about today is continue to discuss our concerns in leading empathy circles. So we can make that as a topic, or bring any topic you like, something that's near and dear to your heart as well. So that's a quick overview of what we're going to do today. You get to practice with a little bit of spice or challenge if you want. And also you get to enjoy other people. Once again, being in an empathy circle is we get to connect to ourselves and others, and it's pretty cool. So what questions does anybody have about what we're about to do? Any questions at all for clarity? Yeah, go ahead, Francesca.
So are the facilitators or instructors going to demonstrate a couple of scenarios for us before we get our turn?
No, you'll get your turn, and you get to practice with or without a challenge.
Yeah, right. But will the instructors before we start demonstrate a couple of possibilities? No,
that's not what we're planning to do. Nope.
Okay, just checking.
Yeah, you get to come in and see what happens, if you want. Yeah. Yeah, thanks for the question, but we want to give everybody a chance to be, the intention of this training is to be in the seat of the facilitator and just see what happens. You might surprise yourself, but to build your confidence by being in that seat. So we want to get started. Thank you, Francesca, for that question. Any other questions about our small groups before we go? All right, I think we're all set. So Edwin, take us away.
Okay, I'll add a few things. As I had emailed the challenges list, there's a web page. Hopefully you all had the chance to see the various challenges. So you can ask for a specific one if you want, or just leave it to the facilitator to bring up a challenge. The other is also want to give the context. So the context here that you're facilitating, and the imagined context, is you're facilitating an empathy circle with people who are not familiar with the practice. So that's really where you sort of get your challenges, is when you're bringing in people who haven't done it much or have never done it and it's new to them. So if everyone has done this, the empathy circle, 4, 5, 6 times, there's almost no facilitation needed because everybody's sort of there. So just imagine the people you're talking to have never done an empathy circle before, the ones you're facilitating, your fellow participants here. So in terms of the breakout rooms, we're at a kind of a number where we sort of need to, we'd like to have one trainee with one trainer supporting them, and then 3 participants. The breakout rooms are not quite even. So we're going to have, Bill, you'll be on your own with 3 participants. Dominic and Timothy will be in one room with, 1, 2, 3 participants, and I'll be in a room with Lala with 2 participants. And so here we go. And I'll give a 10-minute heads up before we close to give you some prep time. And we have 1 hour and a half for this section. So here we go. See you there. Happy facilitating. So we just have 2 participants here, and this is also the wait room. So if people drop out of the call and then come back in, they come back through this, so they might pop in. So just a bit of a heads up. Yeah, take it away, Lala.
Yeah, and it's so nice to see Francesca and Harini again. Harini, we've been in the same breakout room for 3 sessions now in a row, so it's really nice to see.
Oh, sorry about that. I try to mix it up. It's just, yeah.
Yeah, no, I think it's okay. We've really enjoyed being in the same room for the past couple of sessions. So again, I will be kind of facilitating this breakout room, but Harini and Francesca, you both will be taking turns to facilitate the mini empathy circle. And because only 2 of you are here to practice the mini facilitation, or facilitating the mini empathy circle, you have more time. So I'm gonna set the timer to about, I think maybe 22 minutes for each of you, or no, actually I like 25 minutes for each of you. So this way we also have like a bio break in between. I'm gonna time it so that we have like a 5 to 8 minute break in between. And so before I get started, just to kind of reiterate what Timothy was saying earlier, I'm gonna be the one who will kind of give you the challenges. I might be, either disrupting or act like a person who's never participated in an empathy circle before, and it's up to you, the facilitator, to really make sure the empathy circle is running smoothly, that all participants have, a very good experience, and that there is fairness and mutuality. All right, with that being said, who wants to volunteer to be the first facilitator? Anyone? Okay, Harini, you'll be the first. Yeah. Okay, great. And again, you'll be keeping time, obviously, for facilitating the mini empathy circle, but I'll keep time for the overall structure of our breakout room. And is there a challenge level you'd like to choose for today?
No, beginner level. I do want challenge, but easy challenges, maybe beginner level challenge.
Okay. All right, yeah, no problem. So I'll keep that in mind as I'm participating and also providing the challenges. And Edwin, please feel free to let me know if I'm missing anything, while facilitating this breakout room. So feel free to get started. And Harini, you will be the first listener, just like last time. And you will also determine the topic of the empathy circle today for your empathy circle.
And how many minutes does each speaker get?
I believe it was 4 minutes, Edwin, based on what you sent out, right?
It depends. Yeah, it can be 3 or 4. You can kind of choose it since it's a smaller time. Since maybe 3 is
Okay.
But you can choose. Here's a choice. You get to choose. Tell us how much time, 3 or 4 minutes. So this is a bit of a choice for you.
Okay. So let's begin then. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Empathy Circle. I'm Harini. I'm your facilitator today. And we are going to be practicing empathy. So I joined Empathy Circle to improve my listening skills and to be able to make more space for myself and for others in my life. And it has been a great experience so far. And I hope you guys have a great experience too today. So how are we going to practice empathy? We are going to be doing this by taking up roles. These roles are speaker, active listener, and silent listener. So we'll all get turns doing this. The speaker speaks for about 4 minutes, and the active listener reflects back to the speaker. So what do we mean by reflect back? The speaker says something for a few seconds, he shares something and he pauses. Then the active listener, he maybe paraphrases what the speaker said. He expresses his understanding of what the speaker said, or he just, he acknowledges the speaker by rephrasing what he said in a different way. So that's what an active listener does. And then there are silent listeners who listen to this whole thing without participating actively. So those are the roles. And so that'll be the speaker then gets to choose the active listener, and the active listener then becomes the speaker, and it goes on. And at any point, if the active listener wants some clarification or say you missed something, it's okay. We're all trying our best here. So you can always ask the speaker to repeat it. You can ask for more clarification. And the speaker also can feel free to say if he felt fully heard or not. If the speaker doesn't feel fully heard, he can again clarify, and he can tell the active listener, explain it more in detail. So that's it. And we'll learn and we'll figure it out as we're doing it. And as your facilitator today, I'll be the first active listener demonstrating how to actually do it. And anybody wants to be the speaker?
I have a question. If I get stuck being the silent listener, you said we don't get to participate at all. So do I just sit and listen the whole time? What if I want to participate too?
Oh, of course you get to participate. We all get turns. So the active listener then becomes the speaker, then the speaker becomes the active listener, then the silent listener also gets to do both. They get to speak and they get to actively listen. So everyone gets a chance to fully express and everyone gets a chance to listen. Yeah.
Okay. That makes me.
I have a question too. Is there a topic? Are we going to be talking about anything? Or we just talk about whatever we want, or what? I'm not really sure what we're doing.
Oh, sorry, I forgot to mention that. Today's topic is dealing with emotions. That is today's topic, but please feel free to talk about anything you feel like in the moment, anything that is true to you in the moment. Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Who's the first speaker? Okay, Francesca, yeah, I'll be a listener. Please, you can start.
Okay, so yes, so this is really interesting. So we're talking, the topic is emotions, speaking about emotions, or whatever is alive in us. Is that correct? Yeah, I guess I would like to speak about what's alive in me. So I feel like it was really interesting hear your introduction and the clarity of it. And yeah, a really good start, a really good start, really clear, and just very inviting. And I just really felt this, just the disruption of the questions. I felt that those questions got a little bit disruptive, and just of how that felt in me. So I was just, having that experience.
So you were wondering what to talk about, emotions, or what are you going to speak, and you decided you'll speak what is alive in you right now. And you really liked the introduction. You found that it was clear, and it was inviting. So I guess you liked it, and you did make note of the questions on how they disrupted, kind of gently disrupted the session, and also your experience, you shared that.
Yeah. Yes. Yes, and I felt like I didn't know, like usually all the empathy circles I've been part of, it's really interesting because usually what we do is we either talk about how we feel about empathy circles, or why we're here, or what we want through an empathy circle, or whatever is alive in us. And so when you came up with the topic of dealing with the emotions or exploring emotions, I was like, I kind of went, it took me someplace new, and I wasn't expecting it. So I was having that experience of, oh, so we're going to be talking about emotions.
So usually in your empathy circles, your conversation revolves around the empathy circle and how you got that. And so this topic of emotions was surprising and unexpected for you.
Yeah. Yeah. And I wasn't sure whether I wanted to talk about emotions, or whether what I would say about emotions. And I guess I would have wanted a little bit more of a sense of what that exploration of emotions would be, like some kind of direction.
So you aren't sure what to say about emotions. What do you want to share about them? Because you want more direction. You want, in which angle do you talk about emotions, or something like that?
Yeah, so I was curious about what was it we were going to explore about emotions. And like you said, what angle am I supposed, or could I take with this? Because it's such a broad topic.
So you're wondering what angle are you supposed to take, and it's so broad. What do you choose and what do you say?
Yeah, and so what I can say about emotions is that I really believe they're very important, and that it's really important that we develop emotional literacy, which means our ability to really feel and process, acknowledge, and be informed by our emotions.
But you do say that emotions are important, and it's important that we learn to process and acknowledge our emotions. And that's your time.
Okay, thank you.
Do you feel heard?
I do feel heard, fully heard, yes.
Okay, thank you, Francesca. So
I'm going to interject for just one moment, that I am keeping time on my end, but as a facilitator, you will also be keeping time for each of the active speaker on your end as well.
I am keeping, I am keeping track of time.
Oh, okay. And are we keeping, sorry, just to double check, because it seems like it's a little bit of a difference between my timer and on your end. Does each speaker get 3 or 4 minutes?
4.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much.
Yeah. So I'm going to be the speaker now, and I get to choose the active listeners. So Edwin, will you be my listener?
Yep, gladly listen.
Yeah. So I chose this topic of emotions because in the introduction, it was said we could choose something that we're passionate about, and that is something I've been passionate about recently. I've been hearing a lot about emotional regulation, so far. I mean, in the recent days, and I was like, regulation. What do you mean by emotional regulation? I was thinking about all that, and I was, yeah.
Yeah, so you're sort of excited about that you could choose the topic you want, and you've been very interested in emotions. You've been hearing a lot about it. Then you hear about emotional regulation, and you're like wondering, what does that mean?
Yeah, that's right. And especially I have been reading about how it is important for as a parent, because if you're not regulated, your baby is not regulated too. They feel your energy, they pick up even the minute things. So I was so ever since I had a baby, I have been working more on myself, and so I've been trying to learn about emotional regulation.
Yeah,
I
so
agree with you too. I think that is really important. I've also heard of it.
Oh, thanks, Lara. Thank you for sharing. Just to, I really appreciate that, that you feel the same way too. But, just to keep the structure on the process of empathy circle smooth, when the speaker speaks, the active listener reflects, and the silent listener is supposed to stay silent. And when you get your turn for speaking, you can share all about it. And we'll be glad to hear about it. Is that okay?
Okay, I got it. Thank you.
Okay. So.
Okay, so before I so rudely interrupted, I was about to say something to reflect what you're saying. Yeah, there's something about as you have a child and you've heard that the parent needs to be emotionally regulated, and then so you're kind of exploring, well, what does that mean? How do I be emotionally regulated or something like that?
Yeah, that's right, Edwin. Thank you. And I'm really sorry that you were interrupted. I understand that can be frustrating sometimes, but we're all beginners here and we are learning, and it's going to be all right. We're going to learn, and we're going to do better. Yeah.
Okay, so you're sorry that I was interrupted, and you're just realizing that we're all beginners here, and yeah, we'll deal with it.
Yeah, and that's my time. And so, Edwin, thank you. I feel fully here.
Okay.
And you get to be the speaker now, and you can choose your.
Okay, I'll speak to the disruptor, Lala. Yeah, I would have liked to have heard more from Harini about, this emotional regulation in her child. I'm sorry she was kind of just interrupted.
You would like to hear a little bit more about what Harini was talking about, the emotional regulation and how important that is for child development, but you are also frustrated that it was interrupted.
Yeah, because it's an interesting topic because, what does that regulation mean? It sounds so controlling somehow, the term emotional regulation. Sounds very controlling, and yeah, so I have some issues with the term emotional regulation on one hand, because it's like, oh, you have to control your emotions. And I think that empathy is sort of one way to have that emotional regulation, for better term. Like, yeah, so I'm kind of like struggling to articulate this.
You have some reservations about the term emotional regulation, but you're also struggling to find another way to phrase it. And you're thinking, how does empathy serve as a way to replace the emotional regulation? But you're not too sure what.
Yeah, that helped, because the word that's coming up is emotionally grounded, maybe. Right? When I feel grounded, so if I'm feeling upset, then I can share, hey, I'm feeling upset with someone, and they reflect back, oh, you're feeling upset. So I get a lot of empathy for the feelings I have. It sort of grounds me. I feel more grounded and centered. And so in terms of the regulation, I think empathy would be a big piece of, emotional regulation, of grounding, of centering. And yeah.
You believe empathy plays an important role in emotional regulation, and as you're talking about it, you seem to have found a new way of describing it, that is being emotionally grounded. That may be a better way to describe when someone is feeling frustrated or upset. For example, they communicate that to the other person and they receive empathy and understanding in return.
And so if there is a child that's all upset, is you can empathize with them, listen to them, and hear their upsetness, maybe reflect that, and that helps ground them. They feel like a sense of connection, and that settles them. So I think that the empathy for that concept or that direction of emotional regulation, I think empathy is sort of a gateway practice for that. And it's maybe beyond regulation, it's grounding, centering, connecting. So there's other terms I would maybe use.
You believe empathy is a gateway to helping people build connection, to also help one to ground their emotions and center themselves. It may be a better way to describe emotional regulation.
Mhm.
And in the case of a child feeling upset, empathizing with them helps the parent or the other person to understand, to really listen to them.
Yeah, and I don't know what the term emotional regulation really means. Yeah, I haven't heard a real definition. Yeah.
I'm sorry, your time's up, but you can
Okay.
finish. You can just finish what you're sharing. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So yeah, it was, I'm not quite sure what that term means. Underneath, I have some discomfort with the term, but I don't know how they're defining emotional regulation. So
You're not entirely comfortable with the word, with the phrase emotional regulation, but you don't understand it enough to be able to pinpoint what it is that doesn't seem quite right to you.
Because I don't know what the definition is. Yeah.
You do not know the exact definition of emotional regulation.
Yeah, I feel heard. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Now it's Lala's turn to speak and choose a listener.
Okay. All right. I finally got my turn. Harini, would you be my listener?
Sure.
Yeah. All right. What do I want to talk about? Emotions. I guess I can talk about emotional regulation as well. I think Edwin brought up a really good point that I never really thought about too much, or never really probed that question. What is emotional regulation? Why does it need to be regulated? What is the process? What is the definition? So I don't understand it either.
So you were wondering what to talk about, and it looks like Edwin prompted you on this direction of emotional regulation. You were wondering, what is emotional regulation? Why is it needed? And how do we do it? You're just wondering.
Yeah. I do feel though lately, and I wouldn't say lately, it's been ongoing for months now, that my serenity is disturbed. I don't know why, but I'm not as at peace. My inner peace is easily disturbed by a lot of external forces, and I'm definitely not as centered and grounded as I was before, probably a year ago.
So you feel that your serenity and inner peaceness is disturbed by a lot of external factors, but it wasn't the case a year ago. But this year has been different, and this is how you feel now.
Yeah, so I think that emotional regulation prompts a really good question. Do I need to regulate my inner self, how I deal with these external forces? Or do I need to actively shield myself from being exposed to some of these external forces? So do I need to change my lifestyle? Is it external changes that I need to have, or do I need to look within myself and make changes within myself? So is it external? Is it inside of me? I'm having those thoughts and questions.
So you're asking if it's something you do within yourself, irrespective of the external circumstances, or is it something you go and do actively, maybe on the world, actively in the outside world, or maybe you do something to protect yourself more? You do something actively, or you, if it's external or internal, you're just thinking on those lines.
Yeah, because I definitely miss the days when I don't easily get upset or frustrated by things. I can just keep my cool throughout a lot of things. Now I seem to be much more direct when I'm agitated or frustrated. And some of the negative emotions come out quite easily as well, like reactional sort of emotions. They come out pretty easily right now. So I'm looking for a way to return to my old self, where I have a lot more inner peace.
So you find yourself more reactive these days. Earlier you were like undisturbed, like external factors didn't disturb you much. You were able to hold yourself, keep your calm. But these days you find yourself triggered easily, and you think you want to return to your old self. Is that right?
Yeah, that is right. Harini, what do you think? I'm really wondering what you're thinking. You've been listening to me for the past 4 minutes now.
And yeah, thanks, Lala. As you mentioned, your 4 minutes is up, which means that your time's up. And what do I think? I think maybe I'll share that with you when it's my turn to speak again.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so is the circle over, or I'm not sure?
You still have 7.5 minutes.
So we just go on?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So thanks, Laura. Since I was the one listening, I speak now. And Francesca, will you be my listener?
Sure, Harini, I'll be your listener.
Okay, so yeah, Lara asked me, what do I think about all that, about what she shared? So let me get thinking. And I relate to what she said. But I wouldn't say it was the past year, but recently I have been finding myself easily triggered by events, and I do feel that energy in me, and I think, and that's where this emotional regulation started making sense to me. I'm not reacting anymore, but I still do feel this energy in me that is, waiting to burst out. And I start thinking like, oh my God, what is this energy that doesn't feel good? I'm sure my baby also is affected by the energy. Then what do I do? I think things, but yeah.
It sounds like that you also, in response to what Lala was sharing, you can relate to her, and that you too, during these challenging, difficult times, have also been experiencing, some emotional distress or reaction, or being reactive. And it sounds like you're really, you're thinking about the impact that has on your child. And that, if you have that in your body from what you've learned about emotional regulation, that you understand that your child will be affected by what you feel. So you have some concerns about that, and you want to find a way to calm your own nervous system down so that when you're with your child won't be negatively affected by any negative feelings you may have felt or were feeling.
Yeah, I just want to correct one thing. The thing is, I am not reactive. I've cut off the reaction part. But even though I'm not reacting to the outside world, there is energy going on in me. There is patterns going on in me. And I'm just sitting with them. I'm just going about doing my normal life with them, but it's difficult. I still feel this energy, these thoughts and everything. And that affects me from being in the present moment, which is, yeah.
So it sounds like so it sounds like it's not like you're reacting to the outside world. It's just what's happening, what you're becoming aware of what's happening inside of you, maybe your thoughts, your feelings, and it's distracting you, and it's making it difficult for you to be present in the moment. Yeah,
Exactly, that's right. And if anything a child needs the more, like, or it's the being in the present, his caregivers, his parents, his mom being with him, seeing him for what he is, that's what the baby needs. And I mean, I do that, but when I'm triggered or when I'm stuck in some pattern, I'm unable. It's like I'm making an effort, to be so much effort to be in the moment, and there is some guilt about that.
Yeah, it sounds like you're very much aware of what's happening inside you, that might be disruptive to your child. The patterns of, I guess it's reacting within you. There are patterns of emotional reacting within you. And you sounds like you're very, you're aware of it or becoming more aware of it. And you're cognizant of the impact it could have on your child. And you want to be able to be present with your child, you want to be able to see your child and relate to your child clearly, and not just kind of bypass or misattune to what your child's showing up in your life.
Exactly. I feel fully heard. That's my time and your time. And now, Francesca, you get to speak.
I do? Okay. All right. So, gosh, I don't think I have a lot of time though, because I think I would have about 2 minutes, I believe, if we had 7 or 6 minutes.
4 minutes of the 7 minutes is gone. So I guess 2 or 3 minutes is.
Yeah, okay, 2 or 3 minutes. Okay, great. I'll take that. So I really appreciate, I need someone to listen to me.
Yeah.
Okay. Lala, can you listen to me?
Of course. Yeah.
No. Sorry, I meant Harini. I'm sorry, apologies. I was looking at Harini and I said your name. Sorry. Harini, will you listen to me?
Sure. Yeah, of course.
Yeah. I really appreciate what you shared about, your experience and your awareness and your, your desire to be fully present to your child. That really I really feel moved by that. Yeah.
You appreciate what I shared and my experience and my wanting to be fully present for my child. You're moved by that.
I'm very much, touched by that, because I know of so many parents who have such difficulty being present to their children. And I understand the impact that has on a child when their parent is not able to be present with them, and how frightening it is for them.
So you do know parents who find it difficult or who are not present with their children, and you've seen the impact it has on them and how frightening it is.
Yeah, because the most important relationship for a child is really their primary caregiver, and usually it is the mother, or it could be the father if the father takes on that caregiver role. But that relationship is so important for both mom and baby. But I really feel encouraged when I hear someone like yourself, a mother who's so aware of how important your presence is to your child. And, if you're distracted, how that can affect your child. Yeah.
So you are you understand how it is important for a care, how you understand the importance of a primary caregiver in a child's life, and how important it is for them to be present. And so you really appreciate that I want to be there for my child, be present with him. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. And
your time, but
is
yeah,
that time? Okay, I'm
if
good.
you-
No,
Okay.
I'm good. That's a good place to stop for me. Thank you.
Okay. Do you feel fully heard?
I do feel fully heard. I do.
Okay. So that's today. Yeah, thanks everyone.
Thank you, Harini.
Harini.
Yeah, that was great. So how about we take about 10 minutes to kind of debrief, and then we'll have a bio break for about 5 minutes. So I wanted to start with you, Harini. How do you feel as a facilitator? What do you think about the challenges, overall feedback about the mini empathy circle?
It was much better than the last time. I felt more at ease with watching time and listening to everyone. And I was like, okay, it's all it takes is practice. But I think the other reason is also because I got to choose the topic I was really interested in. So I think that is also another reason I found it better than last time, more easier to focus on everything. And I really enjoyed it. Yeah, I had a good time.
That's really good to hear. And do you feel the challenge was too easy? Would you like to have much more of that for the next time you facilitate, for the next session?
Yes, definitely more. But I don't think it was too easy. I was like put on the spot, startled by it. But I mean, I wanted to start slow and gradually ease up to it. So it really did help me, and I was surprised at myself that I was able to address it. I don't know how effectively I handled it, but I was able to address it. I'm happy with myself for that. And yeah, the next time I will like maybe a bit more challenging situation. Yeah. That was good. Thank you for that.
That's really good to hear. Other participants, what are your feedback for Harini?
I felt like that. My sense is you started off strong. You started off strong and confident and clear. Are we just giving like all just straight feedback? Like,
yeah.
Okay.
Anything you would like to
and I felt that there was a point where you weren't as clear in your communication. I think it had to do with when you were talking about the roles. So yeah, when you were talking about the roles, and I sensed that you might have been nervous around that time. Like you might have just started becoming a little nervous, I think. And so then I was feeling as a participant a little bit less grounded, right? But your intro was strong and it was confident and it was like you really set a really good tone. And then I started noticing that the first challenge was pretty. I felt the first challenge was pretty strong. It was a pretty strong challenge, and I felt that you weren't expecting it. And that makes sense, right? It makes sense you wouldn't expect it because, yeah. So then I felt that it was difficult for you to navigate through that, but you did it. And yeah, and then I sensed that you were losing your momentum in terms of your confidence. So let me know if I'm sensing this accurately. Correct me if I'm wrong. Yeah, does that make sense to you?
I didn't feel like I was losing the momentum or my confidence. No, but maybe it was watching the time and not wanting to people. Okay. At the same time I started enjoying it. I was listening to everyone, and then I was like, oh my god, am I watching the time? I was like, maybe that's what you picked up, losing the momentum. Yeah, maybe.
So there was a lot going on. There was a lot going on, right?
Yeah.
Okay, no, good. Because that's, yeah, so that's, that's what I perceive. So no, great. Thank you for that. Yeah.
Yeah, Edwin.
Yeah, it's what I really sensed was, it was a very meaningful topic. So it seemed to really be sort of create a sense of depth to it. So it's really, because, and then I was also noticing how the facilitator sets the tone. So it felt very, I think, Francesca mentioned too, it was very clear, it was very authentic. It made me feel sort of confident. Oh, this is pretty nice space here. People are, people are speaking about real things in their life. So it felt very sort of meaningful and kind of kept my interest because it was, oh, that's so interesting about, your child and the struggles you're having. It's so real, it's like, so yeah. The one thing I did notice is that when it was someone's turn to speak, you would right away say, oh, it's your turn to select someone. And it kind of happened multiple times. You could just wait to see if they don't do it, instead of interjecting. So you could just say, just wait, do they figure it out on their own? And then if they're not figuring it out, then maybe suggest it instead of each time, so so that was yeah, so that was the one little tip. I just sort of thought, yeah, so that was pretty much it. Otherwise, it was just like I'm saying, it was just the authenticity of it was just very beautiful. You're just very grounded and authentic. It really, it's almost like it doesn't matter if there's mix-ups and stuff. If there's an underlying authenticity to it, it just feels so good. Yeah.
Can I just say something? I figured that is one good way to, do things that are scary. If it's something that's true, so true to you, that means to you so much, if it's bigger than you, then you're just that. Doesn't matter if you make a fool out of yourself or embarrass yourself. So I've learned that secret recently.
So nice to hear. I want to say thank you, Harini, because now I'm putting my newbie hat on, right? I'm pretending that I'm new to participating this, and the first time I interjected, you didn't make me feel bad at all. I think you kind of reiterated the rules of different roles. You talked about, when I can be expected to talk. So you really demonstrated empathy there for someone who didn't really know the rules and kind of disrupted everyone's flow. And then also when Edwin said, oh, that was rude and I wanted to hear more about it, I thought you handled it so well, because not only you had empathy toward Edwin, someone who really wanted to hear you talk a little bit more about emotional regulation, but you also showed so much empathy to me, a new person to participating and not knowing how to participate really, and say, well, I understand you're frustrated that you wanted to hear more, but also, we'll all become better at doing this empathy circle, and you help us to focus on gaining the skill of deep listening, active listening, and having empathy for each other, rather than focusing on being interested in the topic of the day. Even though that is also another focus, I thought you did such a great job balancing and having empathy for everybody. So I definitely wanted to say thank you for that. That was really nice.
Thank you. I was surprised at myself that I was able to do that. Thanks.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like the sincerity and authenticity came through just in that moment. I was like, oh, I feel protected. That's so nice. So yeah, I'll definitely keep that in mind as well, to make sure that all participants, especially the new participants who are not as familiar with the process, to make them feel welcome, that they are part of the process. And if they did something wrong, it's not their fault. So yeah. All right, we can take a 5-minute, 5-minute bio break. We still have some time. And then when we come back, it'll be Francesca's turn. All right, see you in 5 minutes. right, I'm back. Great. So Francesca, now it's your turn to facilitate the mini empathy circle. And you're going to be the first listener, and you get to choose topic for today, or I guess whatever is alive for everybody. So feel free to get started. Oh, actually, before we get started, would you like to have some challenges today, or do you want none? Low?
Yeah. So I'm feeling kind of tired today. So I would just say not a lot. So maybe 1 or 2 challenges would be great.
Okay.
But I'm really kind of tired, so I don't know that I'm up for too many challenges today.
You got it.
Great. Thanks for asking. Okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Francesca, and I would like to welcome you to an empathy circle. And an empathy circle is a place that we can actually learn to develop our skills of deeper listening and connecting. Oftentimes when, you know, we're going through our lives or living our lives, we often may have the experience of not really being fully received or fully heard. And so this particular context that we find ourselves in is an opportunity for us to really experience being listened to and really developing the skills that we can take with us out in our daily life, in our daily relationships. And it's a process that we're engaging in. And so I want to welcome you. And I would also like to just, you know, let you know how the structure is. So I'm the facilitator. My role is to just flow through the process, to help guide through the process. I'm also a participant, and I'll begin with being the first active listener. There are three roles in this process. So we have the speaker, an active listener, and a silent listener. So I'll be the first active listener, and I'll choose someone, or someone can volunteer to be the first speaker. And there will be we'll have 4 minutes. The speaker will have 4 minutes to speak. And then after the speaker speaks, the active listener becomes the speaker and can choose a active listener, or can ask for a volunteer if that feels more appropriate for them. So for today, the topic is either whatever's alive in you today in this moment, or it can be your experience of empathy, or what you're doing here, what you want from this experience of being in this process in an empathy circle, anything you want to discuss about empathy. So I'll be the timer, and I would like someone to volunteer to be the first speaker. Who would like to be the first speaker?
First speaker.
Okay, great. Thank you, Lala.
Yeah, how many minutes do I get?
You're going to get 4 minutes. 4 minutes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll talk about whatever is alive for me. So I'm really looking forward to my vacation. I haven't planned one yet, but I'm planning to visit Seattle and to get away from the city and to be in nature. So I'm looking forward to planning the vacation and actually going on vacation in the next few months.
Sounds like you're really looking forward to going on vacation, and a lot of your attention is going into planning your vacation. You sound like you're excited to go.
Yeah. I definitely have not been, I feel disconnected from nature lately. Maybe that's why I'm feeling maybe lonely or frustrated. There are some bottled up feelings that I'm experiencing, definitely negative feelings. And I feel like every time if I go on a hike or if I go into the nature, some of these feelings subside and I get my energy back. So I want to get away and help myself feel better by being closer to nature.
Wow, it sounds like you haven't been spending very much time in nature lately, and you're feeling a sense of disconnect, and you're noticing that you have a lot of, well, do you have some negative feelings coming up? You're feeling unsettled. And it sounds like you really looking forward to getting out to nature, because being in nature really calms you down. It really helps you to feel more grounded.
Yeah. And one thing I've noticed lately is when I go to sleep, my mind is extremely tired. I pass out because my mind has just been thinking all day, working all day. But I've been sitting all day at the same time. So my body is still feeling very active. And there's that mind body disconnect. So while I'm very tired, passing out, my body is feeling restless. So I never really get a good night of sleep anymore because there's always that disconnect.
Wow, sounds like, well, I hear you saying that your mind is really tired, mentally tired, but your body, it's very stimulated still. So your body still wants to, is really energized, and you're having a hard time falling asleep at night, and your rest is not, you're not having a deep rest. And yeah, so that's what I'm hearing you saying.
Yeah. So I mean, all of it is kind of adding up to this this, I guess, lack of well-being that I'm feeling at the moment. So I'm trying to find a way out of it, but there's just I just don't ever seem to have enough time to really find a way out of it. So yeah, I do feel like I'm stuck in a loop a little bit.
Yeah, it sounds like you're aware of a sense of general, like that your well-being has been somewhat compromised due to maybe the circumstances that we're living in at the moment. And you have a yearning to return back to that experience of yours of being more grounded and feeling more whole and feeling a lot more at peace within inside yourself. And that's time. That's time. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. And I feel fully heard.
Great. Great. I'm glad. So there's one thing I forgot to mention, and it's just something to be aware of, that as a speaker is speaking, for the speaker to be aware of taking pauses. There was no issue with your pace or anything you shared, but I just became aware of that sometimes people may want to talk a lot, not realizing that we need time to take in what's being expressed. So taking pauses will be helpful for the active listener to be able to fully receive what's being expressed. So thank you so much. Thank you. So I'm going to be the next speaker, and I'm wondering who would like to be my active listener. Shall I pick someone? Okay, I'm going to pick Harini. Harini, would you be my active listener?
Sure.
Great. Okay, I'm going to time myself. So here we go. All right. So I'm just going to speak about what's in my direct experience right now, and I'm feeling a little tired right now. I've had a really stressful week. I'm experiencing some challenges in my own personal life right now that are really have been really taxing for me.
So you're really tired. First of all, you're speaking about what's true for you, and it is that you're so tired, and you kind of feel stressed, and your personal life has been difficult. It's been challenging, and so you're just tired.
Yes, I am. And like Lala, I would really like to find that place where I spent more time in just feeling more calmer and more grounded and less stressed. So I too long to find that experience in my own being. Yeah.
So like Lala, you're also longing to find, being the place of calm, being centered and grounded. You want to find that place. You want to go to that place.
I do. And I'm finding that lately I've had to rest more and I haven't had as much energy. And I've had to really practice greater self-care.
So you find yourself not having so much energy lately. You want to rest more and you want to practice more self-care.
Yeah. And I have to actually practice more self-care because of all the stress I'm under, my adrenals are becoming fatigued, and I notice it. I notice just that exhaustion that comes from my adrenals becoming fatigued. Yeah.
You've been under so much stress lately, and you find yourself fatigued. You notice that your adrenals are fatigued and how it is affecting you.
Yeah. And then when Lila was sharing, it occurred to me, like I had like an idea that maybe Lala's activity, like her body being really energized, might be because her adrenals are still really active from what's been happening in her day. And it just occurred to me that I just thought, well, what might be helpful for Lila to do to help calm down her adrenals, if that may be one of the things that may be impacting all the energy that she has in her body still.
So as Lala mentioned that she wants to be more calm, too, you are wondering if maybe her adrenals are more active too, and maybe calming down and calming that will actually help her calm down.
Yeah, or I'm not sure exactly what she can do, but just what I do is I research YouTube. Anytime I have an issue, the first place I go is YouTube and I research it, and I usually come up with some kind of an answer. So yeah, but that's just what occurred to me. Is just like so often, we have excess adrenaline in our system still that we haven't processed or gotten rid of, right? Which could make it difficult for us to rest at night.
So you're wondering if that's the case and what she could do about it. And you are sharing what you would do about it. Often when you are up with something like that, you just go to YouTube and you find something. And when you share how if adrenaline, we are filled with adrenaline, it's difficult to rest and go to sleep at night.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much. That's my time and I feel fully heard. Thank you so much, Harini. And Harini, now it's your time to be speaker. Who would you like to choose to be your listener?
Edwin, will you be my listener?
Listening.
Why did I mute myself? Okay, so I'm going to stick to my topic of emotions because I'm kind of so into it right now. And yeah, I have been listening to a lot of podcasts, reading on this lately. And I see that there are programs actually where they teach you emotional regulation, but you're supposed to pay like it costs like $300 or something. I'm like, why is this stuff so expensive? It's something basic like all human beings should have access to. And why are they charging for this, first of all? And that too so much.
So you really want to stay with the emotional regulation topic because you're really trying to explore this. You're researching, checking out videos, and you're coming across the kind of workshops like get emotionally regulated, only $300 for the training. You're really like, why is this so expensive? This needs to be accessible. It's so important.
Yeah, and I was like, you know what, I'm going to earn. Right now, I'm doing an unpaid internship as I'm changing careers. I was like, I'm going to earn so much. I'm going to do all of these courses, become a master, and then give this all for free. That's what I'm going to do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so you're thinking, oh, I'm going to learn all these practices and master this, then offer this training for free. You really want to spread it. You want people to have access to this.
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely not an expert. I'm just learning. I want to learn all this stuff, but I know how important it is. I can feel how important it is, and how I feel how it is, it is like the answer to everything. That's how I feel, like, figuring out yourself and sorting your energy and just being calm. But like, I'm just a beginner, but one day I hope to, make it accessible to everyone so that they won't be wondering like me.
Yeah, so you just see how central it is to being a human being, to be able to sort out your emotions and your feelings, and that you want to make this knowledge accessible to everyone so they don't struggle like you are. You really want to contribute to other people as well, to have some tools for dealing with this.
Yeah, that's right. So far, I'm aware of my thoughts, of my patterns, of the energies and the feelings and emotions that arise in me, and that's where I am. But as I said, I don't know, how do you process it? I mean, what do you mean by processing it? Sitting with it, processing it, or where do I go next? So what is it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so you're hearing people talk about processing the emotions, and it's like, what does that mean to process it? Where do I go next with these emotions?
Yeah. So I don't know, maybe I should pay some money and do something, only then I'm going to get the answer to this. But I got this far without paying a penny, so I'm sure I'll stumble and figure it out myself.
So on one hand, you think, oh, maybe I have to pay someone for the answers, but you've gotten this far without having to pay it. So maybe you'll just stumble across the answers on your own.
Yeah, I mean, that's how it's supposed to be, right? Like, everything has its own time. It's not like, it's not, you cannot Google this stuff and Google how to deal with yourself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it just takes time to kind of learn all this, and you just can't Google the answers. You got it. It just will come in time. Yeah, and talking about time, I'm seeing that's your time.
Yeah.
Your time, Harini. Thank you so much.
Yeah, and I feel fully heard. Thank you.
Great. Edwin, you're next.
Okay, then I'll speak to Lala.
Okay.
So I noticed that a little while ago, Francesca gave some explanation about something to do. I can't remember what it was. She gave explanation about the empathy circle process. So I wanted to share one trick, which is, instead of explaining it to the group, actually select your speaker and share it and have them reflect back what you're here, what you're saying.
So you're saying that it would be good to, instead of sharing the idea with the entire group, you can share directly with that person by selecting that person as your active listener, and they will then have a chance to reflect it later on as well when they become the active speaker.
Yeah, because if you're doing an explanation to the whole group, it sort of is breaking the flow of speaking, getting reflection. It's like speaking to the group, and then you're not hearing the reflection on that. So if you speak to one person, say what you want to the group, you'll be staying within the process and getting a reflection. And it keeps the empathic sort of process, keeps you in the process. So that was just sort of a trick I wanted to share by doing it in the process I'm explaining.
You wanted to share a trick that keeps the flow of the empathic listening within the circle. That is, instead of talking to the group, you can just directly talk to that person who you select as the active listener.
Mm-hmm. So, and the other is I'm finding it so interesting. Everyone's having sort of these feelings they're dealing with, right? We have real life experiences, these frustrations. And so I'm hearing that from you, Lala, from Francesca and Harini. And I think that's actually a topic, a good thing for an ongoing empathy circle. Empathy is get together with some friends and say, this is just for us to share what's alive for us. You know, what are our struggles or challenges, so that you get the empathy circle becomes sort of a practice for being able to share that. And I think it can be very supportive. So instead of Harini being like alone in the struggles, she has a regular group that she meets and can get heard, you know, around the issues, for example.
I think that's a great idea, Edwin. I think
yeah, isn't it? Isn't it a fantastic? I think, yeah, I'm so glad you agree with that.
Hey, Edwin, just if we could just pause for a second. So, it's really important to, so when you speak, to give Lala an opportunity to actually reflect back, and then when she's done, then you can respond back. That helps to create more clarity in the communication.
Oh. Yeah, but she was agreeing with me, so I was getting really excited. She was agreeing and had the similar. I'm just so excited that we're on the same page here. Thanks, Lal. Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. That's great.
I wanted to agree with him, because I thought it was a great idea that we should bring it back to Bill in the main room as well.
Sure.
He brought up such a great point.
Yeah.
So,
that's great. So I just wanted to really reiterate that one of the things we're working on is actually listening, right? Deep listening. And so oftentimes we need to allow the other person to finish speaking so that we can fully receive what they're saying and then respond back. Is that helpful? Does that kind of make sense?
But I did finish listening what he was saying, and then I responded to him with my own idea that I want to share that with everyone in the main room.
Sure. Okay. Well, that's time, Lala. I guess what I was picking up was this kind of back and forward thing happening, where, you know, both of you were talking at the same time. So that's what I was noticing. So if you don't agree, that's okay, but just maybe keep it in awareness, right? For, you know, it potentially being happening in the future. So we really want to be able to pause and listen and allow the other person to have full space to speak. So,
okay.
That's our time. Is that okay? Do you have any questions about that?
No, I don't have any more questions. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I feel like my time kind of got taken up with all this. It's like, I don't think that's really fair.
I'm sorry, Edwin. I just thought it was important to address because the moment presented itself.
Yeah, can I have more time? Because I want my, because
you want your more, sure. Well, how much time do you want? You want a minute?
I don't know, about another minute or so. You see, you're all this, my time
sure,
was, okay.
Sure,
yeah.
We can do another minute.
Okay.
Lala, you okay with that?
Yeah, I will reflect.
Okay, hold on. I'll time you for a minute. Okay. Go for it.
Yeah, I just like a sense of fairness here. I feel like, hey, I was kind of speaking, then we got into all this discussion. You're kind of giving lectures to Lala and stuff. So my time got eaten up by that. So I felt kind of uncomfortable.
And when you feel uncomfortable because you were in the middle of talking and your time got eaten up because I was talking, and then Francesca was making sure that we're following the structure of the empathy circle.
Yeah, it hurt my feelings.
Your feelings felt hurt.
Yeah, because hey, I'm not going to get equal time, and you know, other people get to talk more than me. It's like, yeah, let's cut Edwin off. Yeah, he doesn't get to speak as much as everybody else.
You felt that you were treated unfairly because your time got cut off.
Yeah. So so the topic, yeah, just again, is the topic of the empathy circle is a way to.
Edwin, that's time. That's time, but you can finish what you're saying if you want, Edwin.
All right. So it was just, I think it was just an idea for empathy circles, to hold empathy circles on emotional topics of what's going on in our lives and get that support. I think that will be a good topic.
That's great. Thank you. Oh, did you want, okay, go ahead, finish Lala.
Okay, you think it'll be good to introduce the emotions as a topic for Empathy Circle, so people are engaged and interested and can build support groups?
Yeah, I feel heard. Thanks. Thanks for that
Okay.
extra time too.
You're welcome. Thank you so much for your participation. And I think that's the end of our Empathy Circle. Is that the end?
Actually, I think so, because there's those 3 more minutes, but what we can do is we can take about 10 minutes to debrief for you, Francesca, and then we can have another 10 minutes as a group debrief, so we can talk about, freely any questions that we're thinking about in preparation for the next session. Does that work?
Sounds good. Yes, that's fine.
Okay, so we'll start with you, Francesca. How do you feel having facilitated a quite interesting the Empathy Circle? I know you're tired, but
you guys were so good to me, because I thought, wow, I said 1 or 2 and I don't even know if I got 1. And I was thought, are they going to give me a hard time at all? And just before I thought about that, Edwin did his thing, so I was kind of glad that I had that opportunity. I felt it went well. I felt I was in the moment, present, just trying to respond as positively as I could to what was happening, without in any way making anything wrong. I kind of brought a sense of humor to it and really tried to enjoy it. So yeah, I mean, I think I did pretty good considering I'm tired, and you guys actually didn't give me a lot of challenges, which maybe would be a good thing, because I could help me kind of just be here with you, right? Without having to worry about too many challenges. So I even think I needed that experience before I got a lot more challenges. So I want to thank you for that.
That's really good to hear. Thank you. What about feedback from everybody?
Sure, please.
Group? Anyone?
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. It was fun watching the challenge and how Francesca handling it. It was really good. She handled it well, smoothly. And I like the introduction. She gave details about what you get out of an empathy circle, what you expect. I really like that introduction. It made things clearer. And overall it was smooth with the timing and everything. It was really good. It was good.
Did you have one more comment? It sounded like you were going to say one more thing.
Yeah, but that wasn't about you, so I thought, okay.
But say whatever you like, though, if there's something.
Oh no, I just forgot that I don't have to keep time, and I found myself looking at the time, and I was like, no, Harini, you don't have to look at time.
That's fun to know. Thank you for sharing. That's fun to know.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll jump in.
Oh,
yeah. In terms of the introduction, it was like, so you start off with the benefits. Was really good. Oh, here's what the benefits are. So it was really nice to hear, why we're doing this, the benefits. And then you went, and then you actually said, well, the structure is. So it's like, here's the benefits. I think that's that's very effective and it was very clear. There was that point which I did make sort of within that you can't stay within the process by sharing whatever you want as much as possible in the process. Because everybody hears it and they hear it twice too, right? Because they hear it reflected. So you're actually sort of sharing within the group, within the process, and people are hearing, your advice or your guidance twice. So it was just, I always use that too, to stay within the process. And it's I'm glad to hear, Harini, how you're saying it. When you see someone else addressing a challenge, you learn too. So I think this is really helpful here. We learned from each other how we handled the challenges. And I think that was pretty much it for me. Although everything went, you're very grounded, you're sort of enjoying. I did get a sense that, you know, in terms of my time, I felt a little, oh, I'm not just full time. So I was kind of going into that, and you know, you kind of handle it. So, okay, I'll give you the extra
Thank you.
time. Because if you have 4 minutes and, you know, you do 2 minutes and then you do 2 minutes of kind of correcting Lala and correcting me, that
True.
it's taking away from my time to actually speak. There's sort of that correction time. So you may, you know, maybe make up for that by giving a little extra time. So that's what I try to do. So
Yeah, that's a good idea.
yeah, so that's all that comes to mind right now. Yeah, thanks.
Great, thank you.
I really enjoyed it because it was so fun to watch you like being so engaged in our conversations and our back and forth. So like seeing your smiling face just made me feel like, oh wow, like I'm engaged. I'm in the process of making someone smile. So that made me feel really good. The other thing is, I guess I was trying to introduce a little bit of the challenge. So I wasn't very, very clear. My intention was to respond directly to Edwin, so that I'm not reflecting back to him, rather I'm having a conversation with him and applying my own judgments and responding to him directly and saying my own thoughts. So I'll be a little bit more clear, you know, with that type of challenge next time, because I think it'll be a really good, you know, challenge to kind of throw it out there. You know, if a person comes in and they try to turn it into a two-way conversation, that's not the structure of the empathy circle. But I think Edwin picked up on that really quickly, so we were just going back and forth so fast, and it became sort of comical in a way. So I kind of enjoyed that. I thought that was really funny.
So Lala, if I can make a suggestion though, because you guys engaged so quickly together, that was really disruptive. So I wasn't initially able to see. And I mean, I get the back and forth, but the first part for me was the disruption in terms of interrupting each other. So what I would suggest, if you were to demonstrate that again, is to pause and then talk back, so that it would be clearer that that's what you want to be corrected.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, definitely.
Because it sounded, my experience was you were interrupting him. That's the first thing I felt, was you spoke so quickly and then you were kind of both in each other's space so much that I felt that was what needed my attention. Mm-hmm. So if it was the actual communication, like having a discussion as opposed to reflecting back, I would encourage you to pause first and then reflect back.
Yeah, that's a really good
point. Then talk back.
Yeah, it'll help other learners to pick up on that too, you know, like that's not the right way to participate.
Even though this might be more real life though too, what kind of happens.
Right.
So at that point, it could have been just like, oh, Lala, just reflect back what you're hearing. Just, you know, we want to hear what you have to say, but just reflect back. Right. So I felt a little bit, hey, you're picking on me. And it was Lala who interrupted me. So I felt a little, how come she's correcting me when it was Lala who started it? So.
See, that's good to know, because I mean, it's happening so fast. I'm trying to figure out what is happening, right? So I appreciate you saying that, Edwin, because I was like, it's true, I was speaking to you. So I guess in future, I shouldn't direct it to anyone really, right? I should make more of a general comments, right?
Or you could have just let Lala know, just reflect back, Lala. You don't want to add your own, just because it was her who she started it.
Lala, you started it.
Lala started it.
So I was using words that he didn't use, you know, I was like, hey, we can bring it back to the main room and talk to Bill about it. Yeah. But yeah, but I do think what Francesca said was a good suggestion, though. Even like when you cannot discern what's going on because it's so quick, then just repeat what the general rule is. And then maybe people will think back to their actions and say, oh, I was not purely reflecting, or, oh, I was getting more, you know, agitated, or I'm responding too fast, or something like that. So maybe when you can't discern what's going on, just say, these are the rules to participate, remember that, and then let them go back to it again.
No, that's great. Yeah, thank you
was
so
really
much.
fun.
It is challenging though, right? It is challenging to be in the moment, and you never know what personalities are going to express, right? And oh, are we going now? Okay. How many minutes?
8 minutes.
Oh, we have 8 minutes before closing? Okay.
Yeah.
And you never know what's going to happen, right? So, I mean, these are really good mocks of what could potentially happen.
Yeah, no problem.
That was a really good point. Yeah, when we are like, when we are unsure of what to do, restating the rules. That's a good point. I'm gonna remember that.
Yeah, it's really hard. I've found this to be very interesting because you don't want to hurt anybody's feelings, but you also want to correct their behavior, but you're also keeping time because you don't have a lot of time and you want it to be, distribute time fairly to everybody. So as a facilitator, there's so many things to balance.
So one other thing then is if there's a point of correction, to pause the timer, like to think about pausing the timer, right? So that the speaker doesn't lose any time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's a really good idea. Pausing the
I would
timer.
have felt more fairness. I felt unfair because I don't get as much time as everybody else because there's all this correction going. This thing is being unraveled. So yeah.
That's good.
Started.
She started it and she's taking up all my time and kind of, yeah.
Yeah. So what would you say to that? Like when someone's having that feeling of this isn't fair, I'm not feeling like I'm being treated fairly in this group. How do you recognize their emotion? And then also kind of how do you help them to feel more, to feel heard and understood?
There's always empathy, starting with empathy, trying to reflect back. So, with what you were saying, Lala, I would have maybe said, oh, I hear you have some ideas of what to do next with this, but if you could, so I empathize a little bit. I hear what you're saying because you added about, adding this, bringing it to Bill. So number one is empathize, quick empathy and then correction, like, oh, but just reflect, if you could just, and you can even ground it. So we want everyone to have a fair amount of time, appeal to fairness. So a lot depends on the context. Yeah, I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah, sounds like a lot of it'll come from practice.
Yeah, but having that empathic awareness, like try to meet everything as much as possible with empathic sort of mindset and reflection.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Does anyone have any other comments, suggestions, feelings, thoughts about this session in particular?
It was fun. It was fun that it made me want more challenges.
Are you going to choose medium or high level next time? Lots of challenges.
Still medium.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I still want to look forward to challenges. So I
slowly build up your confidence and ability. Yeah. I thought this was good practice, and what I really enjoy is every time we're in a different room, the vibe feels a little bit different depending on who is the facilitator, who's the trainer, and you just get different experiences, but still having that opportunity to build empathy and to practice active listening. So I thought that was really interesting. Everyone have their own take on how to facilitate, but the results is equally beautiful, I would say.
Yes.
Yeah.
Maybe I could ask a question is, in terms of this section, what would support you in doing it better? Or now you're given the assignment to facilitate an empathy circle. Is there any sort of preparatory material that we could create for you to make this like a more smoother process,
I think for me, it's just about doing it, right? Because
Mhm.
you don't really figure things out until you're actually doing it, and you figure out where you're missing, where you've missed something, or I mean, you learn through experience. So it's like when the challenges happen, then you can address those challenges and develop the skills to be able to manage them, right? So at this point, no, I think the structure is pretty clear, and the roles are clear. I think it's just about gaining experience, really.
Okay, it's very experiential.
Yeah, I don't have much in terms of much to say in terms of training because I'm happy with whatever is happening. But I feel, like it would help for new people, for beginners or to empathy circles, if they could get a more idea of what kind of environment it would be like. If they could hear that it is a space where there is no judgment, it is a safe space.
Yes.
Maybe some emphasis on that, this being a safe space of kindness and empathy, and just that more emphasis on that than the rules and structure and the process. So I think that will help.
You would have liked to hear that this is a safe space for you to sort of explore and to learn. Do you mean for you as a training facilitator, just to know, hey, you're not going to be judged. You're not going to be, we're here to listen to you and to support you. So a little bit of encouragement and sort of warmth.
It's okay to make mistakes and make a fool out of yourself. This is a safe space, like that.
Oh, great.
So maybe a list that almost like a checklist to help people set the right expectations going into the empathy circle before they participate, to let them know, these are the things that you can expect. And these are the things that we expect you to follow so that you can have a good time participating and really gaining the skills that you want.
And then that's something that can be addressed, like Edwin suggested, in the first, if I decide to be the first speaker. Well, actually, Edwin, how would that work? Because normally as a facilitator, the facilitator is usually the first listener, right? To demonstrate how to active listen. Because you were suggesting that more could be said when I speak in terms of actually role modeling the actual empathetic exchange, right?
It's within the circle that you use more of the empathy, sharing and getting a reflection. I was sort of meaning for you as a person learning here, what would be more support, what would be sort of supportive. For example, I was thinking we need like 3 samples of really good presentations, right, to model. So you could watch it before you even come into the circle. So
right. Yes.
You see, plus a kind of a checklist of,
that would be
best
helpful.
practices. Like, did I cover this? For example, why am I doing this is always good. It's like, why is this meaningful for you? You really covered well the benefits of it. Like, hey, we're doing this because people don't listen and it's good. So you really covered that well. Then there's the structure. And so to really lay it out for sort of what as Lalo was saying, sort of the expectations and some support and some more preparation you can do offline even before you come into this.
Yeah, mock examples would be helpful, because when I first learned this was happening, I wanted to be able to see it, right? I wanted to be able to see it so I could demonstrate it. That's what I was asking for. So that would be a great suggestion.
Okay, well, thanks for that. Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Lala, for facilitating this.
Thanks, Lala.
Welcome back, one and all. Welcome back, one and all. I'm a tenor. It's hard to sing lower notes, but that's my welcome back song for you, because now we're back together. And we have a chance now to reflect together and learn from each other. And for 1 minute, we invite each of you to share your learnings from that experience, insights or learnings from practicing leading an empathy circle with or without some challenges as a facilitator. So if you, let's see here, I want to put that in the chat. That's our question for now. And there we go. I'm just going to start moving across my screen and invite you to share for 1 minute. And right near the end of 1 minute, I'm going to wave. Okay, so we have 1 minute each. So actually, yes, I just want to give us even 15 seconds of quiet, just a pause to bring your attention inside for yourself. How were you nourished by that practice? What did you learn? What insights do you have? I'm just going to have a moment of silence and then I'll begin. Just to reflect. Maybe write something down, think some of your learnings, for yourself. Something you might want to share. Cool. Thanks for looking inward for a moment and using this time to grow into wonderful facilitators of empathy circles. Okay, so I'm curious to hear. Let's see, Harini, in 1 minute, what did you learn? Any insights? Go ahead.
It was a great experience. I enjoyed it, and I enjoyed that I was able to choose a topic, and I think that really affected how the session circle went. And it was fun experiencing those challenges, and it was also good to see other participants handling those challenges. That was helpful. And what I learned is that, so be it a conflict or someone has taken some offense or whatever arises in the circle, you say someone said something rude, and even everything, empathy is the key, right? So every action, however it is, deserves empathy. And when you do that, it actually resolves. We saw that, in a small way in a circle today. So yeah, that is my big learning from today's experience. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Harini. Thank you. Francesca, insights, learnings for 1 minute.
Yeah, I really enjoyed doing this today. I was a bit intimidated and didn't think I could do it. And I felt I asked for the sufficient number of challenges that I needed to be able to feel like I succeeded in what I was doing. So I was really glad to have had the experience. I approached it with humor and being in the moment and doing the best I could. And I feel like I had a win. I had a win today. So that's my experience.
Cool. Thank you so much, Francesca. Julia, your learnings or insights from today's practice.
Yes, Timothy. I can say that I really enjoyed the training today, especially because, we in our circle, we all chose the 5 as a difficulty. So let's say it was really entertaining, so much fun. But so much fun now because I know it's a training, but it actually, this practice raised a lot of, questions and doubts maybe on how to do this, how to handle real life situations, like real life challenges. Like, for example, as Sunil was saying in the circle, there could be, cases, situation that you can't replicate like in a virtual session, and those are to be handled, differently. I learned that people can be distracting in many different ways, and you need to keep calm and try to also be very creative about how to handle every
Mm.
kind of situation. But I think it was really insightful, and I really enjoyed the practice today. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, Julia. Wonderful. Lisa, go ahead. Learnings and insights.
Yeah, so today was good. I think the biggest takeaway for me is to make sure that I'm fully present when I'm in session. And I know for me, I tend to like to sit back at the beginning to kind of make sure I feel comfortable with what I'm going to do, which also can set the tone for the group in a good way or maybe not so good way. So I think that was a big piece. And then also being mindful of like how I'm presenting, because if like everybody else is laughing, then it's more likely that I'm going to laugh. And then how does that impact the dynamic of the empathy circle? So yeah.
Mm-hmm. Cool. Thanks, Lisa. Oscar, greetings. We'd love to hear from you.
Thank you. Yeah. It was a nice space that we created. There's lots of empathy in our breakout room, and there was a really nice group. And I think that made me realize again how empathy has kind of what it has done to me before with lack of empathy or yeah, and how I can start to being better at using it in my more in my as you say Timothy in the introduction and yeah, it was really great.
Kind of more in your day-to-day life, right? Yeah. Remembering the effects of it. Yeah, that's about a minute. But are you done there? You have anything else to add?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Oscar. Thank you. Sunil, please. What did you learn? What insights did you have from this practice session?
In the practice, like everything was so nice. It was wonderful. I would like to thank all the participants, but like I just forgot my role as a facilitator. I was trying to make them understand, like, oh, we should be listening this way, and I just forgot that I was listening, and I was just trying to respond that this is not the way. This is how you should be speaking. This is how you should be telling. I was trying to tell those things. It was really embarrassing, but like at the end of the 3 minutes, I realized that, oh, I was a listener and I'm communicating. And that was really nice. And yeah, law and love are like rules and empathy should go together. Most probably as a facilitator. That would be good. Yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Cool. Thank you, Sunil. And Elizabeth.
So it's always good to have more practice. I think today was interesting because I got one challenge that I hadn't experienced before. And I sort of had to like, because I've done the training before, I kind of assumed like, oh yeah, I got this. I know what the challenges are going to be like, but it was a new one that I hadn't seen before. And I had to sort of like think really fast, like, how do I approach this? And I also had an experience where I thought I was being challenged by Bill, but I actually wasn't. So I called him out for something and then found out that it wasn't a challenge, it just was happening. So, and then there were also some technical difficulties as well. So it was like a pretty rounded out experience of like natural challenges that aren't anybody trying to be disruptive or anything. It's just, this is how life is. And so it's helpful for somebody to be able to be there and get things back on track.
Mm-hmm. Cool. Thank you so much, Elizabeth. And Elisa.
Hi. What I learned was that that it's important for everyone to feel heard, and that these trainings are very important to discuss about the many different challenges that could come up, and the importance of holding space and having these roles.
Wonderful. Thanks, Elisa. You really saw those roles there. Great. Let's see here from across my screen. Edwin, your learnings and insights from this practice session.
Yeah, so what I'm looking for is I'm actually spending a lot of time now on this section on how to give the how-to presentation and hold a mini empathy circle. So I'm thinking a lot of how to create more material to support participants in that. So I keep looking out for ideas, making notes about it. For example, need 3 good sample videos of people giving good presentations, a checklist of things to cover. And someone mentioned, like, we had a little feedback on it, is like that let everyone know this is a safe space. It's a fun space. It's role playing can be fun, kind of try that out. So we're here it's a supportive space to really make that clear up front, to make you just feel comfortable to make a fool of yourself. Feel comfortable making a fool of yourself. So that's, somebody mentioned that. So yeah, that's it. Thanks.
Great. Thanks, Edwin. Okay, I'm next on my screen. I just want to acknowledge that in our small group, one person that did not want to go first decided to go first, and then that person chose the highest difficulty to face, like, to see what happens, and that set the tone for the whole group. Our other 2 participants chose the highest difficulty of challenge. So Dominique and I were acting and we were playing. There was some laughter, and it was tough. And so I just want to thank each of you for learning in a safe space and having that bravery, right, to try things out and see what happens. So I'm really grateful there. And the themes that touched me were, we're looking at timing, when to intervene as a facilitator, particularly when somebody's talking too long and you want to pause them so the listener can. So we're wondering about timing, which is a good question. Sometimes it's okay to go a little longer. Sometimes somebody needs some help for reflection. We also talked about power as a facilitator, how to express our power in a way that doesn't, lead to pain and guilt in people, but to be assertive, not to be aggressive or dominating as a facilitator, or not to be passive or quiet, but to be assertive. What does that look like? And we talked about that, and it's a great question to hold. And one theme we came up with that I appreciated was intervene earlier rather than later. If you feel something, it's good to name it as a facilitator, just to name it and maybe make a request, because we're speaking up for a process. So I'll pause there. I really enjoyed our group. Thanks. And then let's see, going across, that would be Bill, you're next.
Oh, okay, thanks. Well, my learnings are always deep appreciation for the people in my group, and how they're putting themselves out there, how you all are putting yourselves out there and engaging. And yeah, and I think that Timothy brought up a good point that I harp on a lot, or I highlight, which is the timing and when to intervene and when not. And it's a sense of sort of the circle, and then how far people are deviating. And the question that I ask myself, if I let this go, will this soon resolve and go on? Or is this because my intervention itself will then create a disturbance in the circle force, if you will? And to balance that. So I really, but I really come away with an appreciation for how seriously people take it, how much it means to you. And that gives me a lot of inner strength. So I appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you, Bill. And Lala.
Thanks, Tim. Yeah, I really appreciate how much effort everyone in the group was putting into the learning process, making sure that they're learning, they're building on their facilitation skills as well as empathic and listening skills. So I really appreciate it, seeing all those effort being put in and practicing and recognizing, raising awareness. One thing I've learned being a facilitator for an empathy circle, you really have to develop very acute awareness of people's needs. And they can all be different, depending on if the participant has done this before or if they're brand new to it, how they're feeling that day. Everyone comes in and they're a little bit different based on what they're looking for and what their needs are. So to have that acute awareness of their learning needs as well as their need for emotional connection and the need to be heard or understood, that's a skill that I'll continuously look to develop with this cohort and as well as other people.
Well, thank you, Lala. And Dominic.
Yeah, I just learned that it's pretty fun to give challenges, like at a fun time day. And like before, when I was a participant, I did not. Sorry, can you see me? I think it cut out. Yeah, when I was a participant, I really felt the tension of not being heard. So I feel for the participants today. It's very hard, but on the other side, it's actually pretty fun to be silly. So thanks. I had a good day.
All right. Thank you, everybody, for sharing your experience and also some of your insights and learnings. Once again, I just encourage you to hold the good questions that you've got as you continue to practice. Those will guide you, and to really harvest the learning from a practice like this. It's so valuable to help us grow into being able to hold an empathy circle that's really true to the intention, right? That people are fully heard. So there we go. And now we're moving towards the end of our conversation. Dominic is going to finish us up for today. So go ahead, Dominic, you're on.
Yeah, okay, so I'm gonna close this out. Just a few things. First, are there any trainer final comments? Edwin?
Yeah, I just wanted to give everyone a heads up that we have 2 more sessions in this training. Then we'll have 3 open empathy cafes. Then we'll start the next cohort. So you can already start thinking about, hey, who would maybe like to join the next cohort? So we can already start sort of planning for that. So just kind of a heads up to think about if you want to join, if you want to join the cohort as a trainee, get your name down there and you can take on the trainee role, for example. So we really want you to keep taking the training until you can become a trainer of it. So just want to put that out there. So that's it.
Cool. Any other comments by trainers? Bill?
Well, a lot of the skill of facilitators being able to kind of do metacognition, or basically track 2 things at once. One is your participation, and the other is what's going on in the circle. And so the key for that is that when it's new, it's like, I've got to do this, and there's too many things, almost like too many balls in the air. So I just wanted to encourage people. We're going to be doing something like this next week without the how-to. And then is to notice how, as you practice, that because certain things become more automatic, and that's the key there. That's it. Thanks.
Cool. Thanks, Bill. Last comments? Anything else? Nope. Okay. So next, what's coming up next week? Bill touched on this. So session 4 is next week. We'll practice again the challenges, but without the how-to. So we'll just go right into it. Third, assignments. So we'll send out another email. So remember to fill out the session feedback survey. I'm going to post, there it is. Edwin just posted it. Hold an empathy buddy call. So you'll be paired up with a new empathy buddy, and then try to facilitate an empathy circle with family or friends, or do the active listening exercise. Fourth, please post one feeling you have now as a result of being here in the chat real quick. Great. see, growing and learning, uplifted, encouraged, engaged, excitement and growth, gratitude, appreciation, calm, heard, tired and silly. Thank you. Okay, last thing, encouraged. I see encouraged. Okay, last thing, let's have the jazz hand goodbye. Close it out. Sunil, Francesca, there we go. Okay, cool.
See you next
Thank
week.
you. See you next week.
Take care,
See your
everyone.
empathy buddies.
Thank you, everybody. Go, 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 go.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye. Take care.
Take
Bye,
care. Bye.
Francesca.
Neil.
See you, Sunil.
Okay, let's take a few minute bio break.
Did you need to go, Lala? Was that a?
Yeah, I thought I was gonna stay until 3:30, but if you're taking a bio break, I'll leave now. I have to
Oh,
go.
do you want to take a quick debrief? Because we have before
Yeah.
3:30, we've got 8 minutes, so or 7
Yeah,
minutes.
okay,
Do you want
so-
to check in? Maybe have Lala check in. You're actually doing this, but if you have her check in before she goes.
Yeah. So how is your experience, Lala? Like, you wish, what if, like, yeah.
I like the opportunity to observe others, taking on the facilitator role. This helped me to learn as well, even though I'm kind of facilitating the overall breakout room. I wish, I actually don't wish for anything. I thought it went really well, so it was pretty good. What was the other question?
What if?
What if? One thing that Francesca and Harini brought up in our group was that what if we had some sort of a preparation, not necessarily a document, but just something that helps the facilitator to help participants set the right expectations, the right learning expectations, the right participation expectations. But, I'm thinking about it. I don't really know what that looked like, what format it should take on, what's the best way to curate that type of resource that's going to actually serve the learning process rather than just, throwing another piece of document at them and say, read this before you join the breakout room. So it's just some thoughts that I'm walking away with.
Cool, thank you.
Maybe can I respond to that real quick?
Yeah.
So that's a focus. I've been trying to have more of a prioritizing different projects. So I'm prioritizing this section, in terms of working on it, creating some documentation. So I've started a document. I don't know if you have time we could go over it sometime, Lala. It would be great to, if you had some time to just kind of review it and kind of discuss. He said, I don't quite know what we could do, but that would be something to sort of brainstorm around. And I did open it up in the group. I said, what would you need to support you? And I thought that somehow to hear from participants what would support them in this section. It was actually somebody said, yeah, let us know that this is a safe space. That was a big part. Like, hey, I want to know that this is a safe space. I can play around here. I'm not going to be, even though that's what it is, but to have somebody say it in advance seemed to be something that would have been supportive for them. So we can email if you have some time or.
Yeah, you can send me the documents, whatever you put together in an email. I'll come through it and try to, I don't know, either create checklist or PowerPoint deck or even videos. Yeah.
And it was making maybe 3, maybe like, Timothy and Bill or others, we could make 3 videos of an excellent how to presentation so that you can kind of watch it to know what's what's good to cover and what looks good. So that's another piece. Yeah. Okay.
Cool. Does anyone need a bathroom break? Cool to just keep going. Yeah.
Be right back.
Okay. I'll do something.
Right.
All right, Lala.
Lala, take care.
It went
Thanks.
well. It's just your feedback for everyone. It just seemed very, very, very sensitive feedback. So I think it was really good facilitation.
Thank you. Okay. Have a great weekend, everyone.
Okay,
You
Lala.
too.
See you next week. Yeah. Oh, still recording. Gotta stop.